Welcome along to Obsession Engineering, Rapid Honda and Oulton Park. That's all the welcome's done. It's Oulton Park, therefore it's wet, but it isn't currently raining and sport bikes are going out in about 8 minutes. There has in fact already been a schedule change today because the organisers are that confident it's going to rain a lot that they've actually changed all the schedules so everybody gets slightly less track time, but they've basically got themselves a 2-hour window. So if it all goes completely underwater, they've got a couple of hours to sort it out. We should actually still get all the sessions in. And so sport bikes are out in a few minutes for their 22-minute FP1 session. Superstock is now going to be after Superbike at just before 11 o'clock. And so it has been a relatively busy morning getting everything ready. So the bikes have got all their wet setup stuff in them and all their dry setup stuff if we need it. And of course, it's not actually raining. And this track in places dries quite quickly, and so halfway through FP1 we might have to put at least a half dry setting in to try and get a lap in, because tomorrow, if the weather is awful and they cancel qualifying, the times from free practice become the qualifying, and so you can't slack off even in FP1. So no pressure then. Walking back to the awning after FP1 for the sport bikes. Definitely a wet session, but not soaking. And the times are coming down basically every lap near enough. And our boys, Lennon was 19th, Harley was 21st, which actually for them position-wise in FP1's not too bad. And so reasonable start to the weekend, sensible as well, both bikes upright. That'll do, reasonable start. Bike-wise, what we changed in the wet. We have a wet shock, so the valving's the same in it, but it's on a softer spring, and we've actually opened the damping up a little bit so it moves a little bit easier. So softer spring, softer preload, a little bit of the valving opened up, but the actual basic shock's pretty much the same as the dry shock. We've changed one of the fork springs. We've gone light in the left and just opened the valving up a little bit in the forks to make them move easier. Obviously we have wet tyres in the bike, and in the ECU, in its brain, it's one set of maps, but there's a whole family within that map of wet maps, which is softer throttle, like softer throttle modes, power modes, so you've got a bit less torque and a bit less power. In the wet I am starting in with some traction control, just as a safety net, because it's the first time he's ridden the bike in the wet, so less power. Engine brake is more open, so it like coasts a bit easier, doesn't try and lock the rear as much. A little bit of electronic control just as a bit of a safety net, and so yeah, no, that's what we do to a Superstock bike to make it a little bit nicer to ride in the wet. Ash, right, first time in the wet on the big bike. I bet you're really looking forward to this.
Yeah, no, it's the weather's got quite a bit worse just in the last 30 minutes, so yeah, see, just first few laps, feel my way around, see how everything's feeling, start to well, not push on, but yeah, start to push on a little bit, give you guys some feedback, see what the weather's like for FP2, because it's looking very wet, same again for tomorrow, so yeah, get a good setting ready for the weekend. Basically it looks wet all weekend, so yeah, no, looking forward to it.
Right, we did track walk last night and we noticed there's a few places on the track where the cars have like either polished the surface or there's a bit of variation with the tarmac, but generally this place is pretty good in the wet.
Yeah, no, I do enjoy Oulton Park in the wet, and from previous experience I know places where to stay slightly offline just to avoid the polishing where the cars have been riding around, so yeah, like I say, just build into it, take it steady first few laps and start to get a bit of feeling and push on a little bit.
Just in from a very wet FP1. You were saying just then that there was a bit of standing water?
Yeah, just a bit. First lap out, came onto the start and finish straight, completely sideways across the start and finish line. So yeah, that was a nice wake-up call this morning, first time in the wet. No, it was good. It was just, like I say, the conditions are far from ideal. First time riding the bike in the wet, first time riding a 1000 in the wet, so yeah, it was good fun. Could have gone a bit faster, but I couldn't see for the last 3 laps out of my helmet, but no,
And it's only FP.
FP1, so yeah, no, it was a good session. Nice to get a feeling for the bike and the wet bike, feeling good. So
P11s are in the mix.
Yeah, no, it'd be good.
Happy with that?
Onwards and upwards.
Barney, you were saying it like he's making a fuss about all this standing water. He said just ride it like a jet ski, yeah?
Yeah, ride it like a jet ski and just hold it flat out. Just keep some froth coming out the back.
Should be right then.
Yeah, good as gold. Yeah, that's it.
Illy, how wet is it out there?
It is soaking.
What happened to you?
I ended up facing the wrong way in turn 1, so that's not a good start to the weekend. But despite racing it, I felt good up until that point. So we got FP2 this afternoon, so the boys should get the bike ready for then, and we'll go again, have another dig, and see what happens.
Sportbike FP2 is on track. It is very, 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 very wet. And so there is a lot of spray. We said to them before they went out, if they get a couple of laps in and it's really sketchy, they're not going to go quicker than FP1. It's questionable as how much you actually learn in this. So I've said, if it's really sketchy, just do a couple of laps of pulling. Dean, what do you think?
I think it's dangerous. See, look, they've got the lack of adhesion flags out everywhere.
On the straights?
On the straight. But what happens if someone drops something? How do you know if it's just not already out or they've actually dropped something?
That's a good question, yeah.
But also turn 1, look, we've got a lack of adhesion flag. But it's been out the whole session. It's been out all day.
Yeah.
So if someone drops something and there's a lack of adhesion, how do you know any different?
Well, the nice thing is if they drop anything, it'll just get washed away.
I suppose, yeah. Nah,
think positive. It's a bit sketchy, isn't it?
It's too bad now. Yeah.
There's the opinion from Dean, who's riding a superbike this weekend again, standing in for Andy Irwin, who's injured. He's obviously not that impressed with this, and I can't fault him. It is very sketchy out there. Sportbikes have had FP2. The boys basically rode around and tried to keep it safe, and we just tried a couple of little setting changes with them, but we weren't worried about lap times. But since then, the rain has continued to pour down. So those ones are sat until we get a bit more time. Conveniently, they changed the schedule again. We're now on version 4 of the schedule, and they brought the stockers forward half an hour. And so that was a little bit frantic because we thought we had plenty of time, and then I decided we wanted the shock out of it, because that's normal, isn't it, Rob?
It's not unusual, is it, for you, Dave?
No.
To do that.
Yeah, so we've gone even softer on the spring. We've gone to a 90 Newton per millimetre rear spring in the rear, and we've gone softer on the front as well. Basically, even though the bike felt reasonable, we weren't getting a lot of rear grip. So hopefully with that, the rear will work a little bit better. And then basically to compensate, we've got the front softer as well, so the whole bike's a little bit softer. Superstock FP2 is ongoing. I'm not stood on the pit wall because it's still very, 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 very wet. And so I'm carrying in the Honda garage. Ash is going all right though, because he's 2 seconds off the pace, but 6th at the moment because he's enjoying himself. Deco's 14th, a bit further back, but really there's not a lot to really be gained in this other than a bit of bike knowledge and a bit of fun really. And a bit of people smirking in the background. Dean, did you enjoy it earlier on the big bike?
No. Too wet for me.
Too wet?
I'm like a butterfly, I like to come out when the sun shines.
Bloody softy TT races, I don't know. Look at the water. The Guinness passed. That is a lot of water, but to be fair, they are actually going faster than they went this morning by, pole at the moment, or fastest man is Josh Owens over a second quicker, and we've gone 5 seconds quicker, and so the boy is learning fast. Deco will be in this group. That's a lot of spray. Couple more bikes still to cross the line, but at the moment we finished that in 3rd, 2 seconds off. But quite a big improvement from this morning, but got to be happy with that kind of pace. Good to see Deco 7th again, so consistent couple of sessions from him as well. Happy days. If we scroll down here as well, Martin Morris, first time out in Superstock, 33rd, but he'll be on the grid. Excellent stuff. By the time everybody had gone across the line, 4th, so not too bad. But the pace was quicker than this morning, so that actually was faster than anybody went this morning. So not a bad first day in the wet on that bike.
No, to be fair, it came quite, I wouldn't say easy, but quite naturally. I didn't feel like I was doing much different to FP1. Just getting used to the bike and a few setup changes that we made. Just riding smooth, and I had a couple of little moments, not massive moments that were anything to worry about really. But yeah, no, it was good. It was good. Every lap I was progressively getting faster, knocking chunks off my time, and yeah, I knew from FP1 that I did a 54. So, and then I came across the line, so I did a 51 on my dash. So I thought, oh, yeah, that's all right. We'll take that. But I couldn't see my pit board, so I didn't know what position I was in until I came in, and then I saw James clapping. And I thought, oh, it must have not been too bad.
Because we were a little bit rushed getting out for FP2, I didn't get around to eating all my lunch, so I'm going to have this lovely satsuma next, and then I'm going to have scones with clotted cream and jam. Now, I tend to go jam at the bottom to adhere the cream to it, because I think that's the way to do it. But I'm open to opinions from people who are wrong. So if you have your scone differently, put a comment down there, because it's very interesting to know what sort of ratio is jam first and which ratio is cream first. Right, Dan's grown some new eyebrows. Jamie's playing with some foam. Rob's putting a tank cover back on, an airbox cover. It's not been as stressful today as it could have been, has it?
No, do you know what? To be fair, I think the weather has actually helped, even though it creates a bit more work. It's not. I thought it was going to be a bit chaotic today doing two bikes, but everybody's been pretty safe today, so we've been all right. We've been all right. I mean, they've come back filthy, and we're still going at what is it now? 6 o'clock. It's nearly time for tea, so we're still going, and we finished about 1 o'clock, almost 1. But that's usual. That's usual. We're having fun, aren't we, Dave?
Yes,
we're having fun.
Even though the bike doesn't actually need much doing and the rider is particularly happy with it and thinks if he needs to he can just basically dig in a little bit more, so we're not really changing much if the conditions are similar tomorrow. There are a few jobs to do. This bike was actually a TT bike. It was Paul Jordan's TT bike, so the data logger sits at the front, not under the seat, because the fuel tank would have filled that space up, and so the lads are just basically making a different mount for it, so it gets rid of the vibration off it and mounts it slightly differently in towards the air scoop. Since the last meeting, we've gained an extra lap timer, because this one does his delta, does his plus minus lap time while he's on track, so he knows if he's up or down on a lap. And we've also, right, there's several things have changed because of one thing. As Rob beautifully demonstrated there, we've got some Jet Prime switches on, which look fancy, are a little bit more crash resistant than the Honda ones, but most importantly, when we fitted the Race Torx thumb brake, which is the standard master cylinder in a different position, to get that exactly where we wanted it, it was hitting the standard Honda switch gear. And so, to get the thumb brake where we wanted it, we've changed the switch gear, and you can't just change the left-hand side, you have to change the right-hand side, and when you change that, you change the throttle as well. And so, literally, we wanted like a centimetre different thumb brake positioning, and that's meant spending a load of Barney's money on some new switch gear. They are very nice, though. Very nice indeed. Saturday morning at Oulton Park, weather radar, because currently outside it actually looks all right and the track's basically dry. But our session is is 10 to 10, which would be basically there where the rain is. And so we've still got the wet settings in the bike. We haven't got any wheels in it yet. If we think there's a fighting chance of it actually holding off a little bit, we have got the dry shock and the dry fork springs and bits ready, so it's not too big a job to swap it back over, but for now we're going on the assumption that the weather is going to be blue. So yesterday was particularly quiet on the deliveries of cookies and biscuits and sweet things, but today that has been rectified already, because thanks to Paul and Sonia we now have some particularly nice Reach Posh biscuits, so thank you to Paul and Sonia. And then literally minutes after that, Mick came round we've got penguins. I haven't had a penguin in ages. So penguins and Oreos and stuff like that. So thank you to all our confectionery suppliers. Team discussion. We decided that the first 5 minutes of the session were going to be by far the most important. And at the time that we made the decision, the track wasn't really getting that wet. So we went, right, we'll put the dry shock in it. So we put dry shock in, and then it rained heavier, and we didn't have time to change back, so we just put the wet rear in it and softened some preload off it, and it was slightly frantic, if I'm honest. We got out when the gate opened, and we are currently halfway through the session, second fastest. Because the track's not as wet as yesterday, especially the first couple of minutes was only just into wet tyre wet territory. quite a few lads actually went out on dries. Because it wasn't as wet, we didn't need the bike as soft. And so, yeah, we've actually, halfway through the session, it's still raining, we're still putting in some green sectors. So, you know, it was a little bit stressful, but yeah, gambling and basically, well, not gambling, ending up with the dry shock in it, hasn't really hurt us because the session is 3 seconds faster than yesterday, so the shock's still working, so stressful, but so far pretty good. Qualifying review. The bike's in the gravel trap at Lodge Corner, but we're third. Normally, after qualifying, there would be a little like podium presentation thing, like top three. Nobody turned up because it was peeing down with rain. Our bike was getting pushed back from the gravel trap anyway. Our rider is absolutely fine, by the way, and the bike apparently is pretty much okay as well. But third in quali, so that'll do. In pit lane, we were having a discussion as to whether to give him an inboard because the rain was getting heavier. But that decision got changed to it doesn't matter because he's in the gravel trap. But to be fair, he was still doing green sectors because he was still pushing, so that'll be why I fell off it. But oh well, front row. Happy days. Well, happy apart from Rob, he'll have to clean the bike.
Don't really know how to feel, to be fair. It's a bit of a strange one, like 2 minutes before I was going out, a minute before I was going out, we didn't know whether to go wet, dry setup, wet setup. Anyway, went out with wets on, dry setup in the bike, and I sort of said to myself at the start, I was like, these are the best laps I'm going to get, so I need to just grip my teeth and crack on sort of thing, and that's what I did. The rain started to get a bit worse, yeah, and then just had a little off at the last corner. Too much standing water, like 5 other people went down after me and some people before me, so I think 17 people ended up going down when the rain started to come down, so not ideal conditions, but I'm alright. The bike's fixable, not much damage to the bike, so happy. Yeah. Happy, yeah.
A little bit strange because yesterday we actually commented at the end of the day that even though it had been incredibly wet, there wasn't that many people off, but it was not a bad temperature. It's quite a bit cooler today, and the session started a bit dry and the rain got heavier, so obviously the conditions are different to yesterday.
Yeah, the conditions are definitely different from yesterday. Yesterday you had quite a bit of warning before the bike wanted to have you off, whereas today there was just no warning whatsoever. I mean, just aquaplaned into the last corner, no warning, and that was it. Down she goes, but all good. So excited for the race, front row, and see how we go.
Go on then, show us how muddy you got.
I need hosing down now, yeah. No scuffs, just muddy, and get washed off, ready for later.
Because the rain is very definitely here now, the organisers have gone with the safe option, which is running Sportbike grid from their combined free practice session. So Lennon will be 19th tomorrow and Harley will be 21st, but it does mean they're hanging around all day today for their free practice 3 session at 5:30 this evening ahead of their one race of the weekend, which is Sunday evening at 5 o'clock. So they're basically getting the poor end of the schedule. But in more positive news, Grace and Lucy have been passed and given us some Tunnocks goodness. So I think that's actually worked out pretty well on average. Fairings back on, wheels are in, it's been to scrutineering, it is ready to go. There is now a little bit of patina on it in places, and it actually, considering it looked like it had very little damage on, has actually taken a bit of effort. The actual pickup cover behind the GB cover had broken one of the bolts out. So I've borrowed a pickup cover off Deco's spare engine, and the thumb brake, the new fancy Race Torx thumb brake, part of the bracket that holds it in place had broken or bent, and so I had to go to Hawk, and thank you to Steve and the boys at Hawk for loaning us basically a bag of spare Race Torx bits so I could get that sorted as well. So there has been a bit more working than we first thought, but we're job sorted, aren't we, Rob? And she's ready to go for the race.
Ready to go, mate, yeah. A little bit of an unfortunate slip off there, but the conditions were horrific, shall we say, as they were yesterday. But yeah, we were, what were we in, P2, P3 at the time when it happened, and he was still having green sectors, so can't blame a boy for crashing trying, can you? We can take that, we can live with that. But yeah, a little bit of work to do, nothing major, just the usual thing. So yeah, what we got left now? Hour left, so plenty of time. Scrutineered, ready to go.
In really good news though, it might be dry for our race because we're at that pin just there. Unfortunately, about a metre away from us in real world, it's raining at the start of our race. So, yeah, I think tyre choice is going to be an exciting decision 5 minutes before the race again. I'll be honest, we're rolling out of here in about 5 minutes. The last 20 minutes have been quite stressful. I popped in to see the lads at Hawk to see what they finished their qualifying session on tyre-wise. Talent Cup are 10 seconds off the dry pace, and Barney, Ash's dad, has been out and taken some videos in a couple of different points on the circuit. It isn't raining, and I don't think it's going to. We might get a bit of drizzle, but that'll be about it. But the circuit isn't drying as fast as we expect, and in places it's really quite wet still. But not the whole the circuit, because obviously with Oulton, half of it's under the trees and half of it isn't. So it dries at different rates. It's a bit Cadwell Park-esque. So we're going out of here with a dry shock in it, which we ran in quali, which worked okay. A half and half front fork setup, with the tools to change another spring if we need to on the grid. On the assumption we're probably going to go to a dry rear on the grid. I don't think we'll go dry front, but we have all the tools and the wheel and stuff. So if we need to, we can go full dry setup on the grid. We can't change the shock on the grid because we don't have time. It's quite stressful, this, if I'm honest. And as normal, the stress level will go up the further up the grid you are, because there's more at stake. So we didn't get a particularly brilliant start in the race. From front row, end of the first lap we were 9th. I think struggled off the launch a little bit. And then lap 2, I haven't seen him yet, he's tried to get past Finn Ascot and hit a damp patch. And unfortunately, it was on the way into Island Bend, so it was a fast one, and so they red flagged the race. And for the team, that was quite hard, because we could have just done with Oulton Park, nice clean race. But he's okay. He might have broken a finger and a thumb, he's been to the med centre and x-rayed, and he's been scooped off to hospital to get them properly checked out. The bike is not very good though, so that is definitely weekend done for the Superstock side of the garage. The stress levels were very high in that, but at least Ryder is mostly in one bit. Unfortunately though, it was into Island, which is pretty much the fastest corner here at Oulton Park, and so the bike's there's come back and it's done quite a lot of damage, because obviously a lot of gravel ground the clutch lever away, smashed the reg wreck, gravel rashed the frame, punched a bit of a hole in the frame there as well, obviously tank as well. You may notice there's a couple of bits missing up here. We have got most of them, and the dashboard appears to be in one piece, which is nice because they're a lot of money, but when we get this home, it'll have to go in the jig and see if the frame and the forks and the yokes and straight. We had to put a back wheel in it to get it back from scrutineering. The gear lever is in a bit of a strange position, and yeah, that's very, very, very second hand, unfortunately. As you can see behind me, there are bikes riding down pit lane. It's nearly dark. In fact, it's quite nice over there. I don't know whether it will show up on the camera. There's a rainbow. Right, so what's happened is there's been a few delays and bits today. So Sportbike went out for their FP3 session, which was supposed to be at 5:30. They've gone out for that at 6:10, and on lap 1 it started raining quite heavily. So I think there's only 2 bikes still riding around after lap 1, and one of them is Lennon, because he's Scottish, so this is still summer to him. To the rest of us, this is cold and wet, which is why I'm wearing my Obsession Engineering bobble hat. They're incredibly warm, they're finest quality, and they're available on the website, obsessionengineering.co.uk. There'll be a link in a corner, one of the corners. Right, so, yes, that's a box ticking exercise, so that tomorrow they don't have to have a warm-up before their race at 5 o'clock, because they will have been on track in the 24 hours beforehand. So, that's been a long time waiting all day for them to have their one session to not do anything. Mega. It's not been the best day. Nice double rainbow though. That's actually quite a spectacular one, that. Beautiful.
Yeah, no, all good. Just feeling a bit beaten up, a bit sore. Bit of a broken hand, but we can live with that and live to see another day.
So, tell us what happened and what happened. Well, basically, just tell us what happened.
So, going into Island Bend on lap 2, I was just pulling alongside another rider. and we had wet conditions all weekend, and there was just a damp patch on the inside, literally just hit the damp patch and took the front. I'd already gone down. Unfortunately, my head tagged Finn Arscott's back wheel, so sorry to Finn. Wiped him out with my head and went rolling through the grass, and the bike went flying.
Yeah, so the bike actually went over the catch fence and across the track on the other side, which is really why they had to red flag the race. But the most important thing is you're in one piece.
Yeah, no, unfortunate as was having a good weekend up till then, first front row in stock 1000, but won't stop us there. We'll try our best to get out at Brands and end the season on a high.
Welcome to Sunday morning in the Rapid Honda awning. There's not much Rapid Honda in here anymore because the bike is in the van, all the boardings are down. Rob is trying to learn how to use a laptop, but I think he's struggling a little bit, if I'm honest. And the sport bikes, well, it's currently midday. Superbike morning warm-up has just started. It literally started raining on their outlap, having been dry all morning. And the sport bikes aren't out till 5 o'clock this evening. And so we have a terribly busy day, which means I might actually get to see some motorbike racing, which would be quite nice. Or we could teach Rob actually how to use the laptop. That might take more than 5 hours, if I'm honest.
Noise. I think it wants an oil change.
Right, a little bit of an update. It's currently 3:30 on Sunday afternoon. We should be 2/3 of the way through the race schedule for the day. Superbike race, they started, and then Pete Hickman's BMW had an incredibly big oil leak. There may have been a bracket for an oil cooler or something coming undone apparently. And there was a lot of oil. 120 metres worth of waste oil to pick up off the circuit, which was of course also damp in places to make it even more difficult. That was 2 hours ago. They've literally just sent the Superbikes back out to try and restart their sprint race. Interestingly, on the race control messages, they said 2 warm-up laps recommended to see how bad the oil slick is. So that race is probably going to realistically finish about 4 o'clock. The curfew here is at 6:30, and in theory they've got a Super Sport race, a British Talent Cup race, a Super Teen race, another Superbike race, and us to fit in. There is no chance at all that they're going to get all of those in now. And almost as quickly as I'd put my camera away, my phone buzzed in my pocket. We use an app in the paddock for getting the messages through. And so this message is the schedule update. So they've got rid of the second Superstock race and they've got rid of the Super Teen race. And so the new schedule is an 8-lap Superbike race, a quick start procedure for the Talent Cup, quick start procedure for Supersport, another British Superbike race, and then a quick start procedure for our Sportbike race at 6 o'clock this evening. What fun! So with Ash out, I was going to give Deco a hand on the grid. We've been doing a little bit of data sharing over the weekend, and obviously it's your first time back after injuring your foot at Cadwell. And yesterday was an exciting race, wasn't it? Having had a technical issue in qualifying, what did you have to do in the race yesterday?
Well, we started from 35th, which was pretty gutting to be honest, as it was my first race back, and I think we were overall P8 on Friday, so we were quite excited going into the wet conditions. Wrong tyre choice and a few other things made us start 35th. Was up to 20th by lap 2 and got red flagged. Hope that both riders okay, Ash involved. And then it was original grid position, so then I had to start from 35th again. Made my way up and we finished P10, so I'm pretty happy with that. Was excited to go today from P15, but it is what it is, and the safety and other people's classes get put in front of us, so it is what it is.
We'd made a reasonable change to the bike today to hopefully make it a bit more stable, a bit easier to ride, so it would have been nice to try that today, but instead you get 3 races at Brands Hatch in a couple of weeks.
Well, yeah, I think we're going to make a positive change today, to be honest. It was just a bit of a handful yesterday, and the changes we made were going to make it pretty much easier to ride for me and faster as well. So 3 races at Brands, we went well at Brands before, we like Brands, so laps and keep going and hopefully end this season on a high.
So I've been that busy waiting around all afternoon that I forgot to bring my camera down pit lane for the start of the race. But the bikes are rolling up onto the grid. It is 3 minutes to 6. It is quick start procedure, so Paul is on the grid for Harley, Wooly is on the grid for Lennon, 18th and 20th on the grid. Right, let's see if we can scrape some points out of this day. That'll make all the waiting around worthwhile.
It's cold.
Safety car on lap, well, at the end of lap 1 because somebody fell off at turn 1. Harley up to 16th, so decent enough. But Lennon must have had an excursion because he's down in 34th.
Unfortunately, yeah. Hopefully if they bunch up, Lennon might be able to catch up to the back of them and make a few places up. Fingers crossed, eh?
Dave, it's quite dark.
It is quite dark, Paul. That's because it's quite late. Right, race has just finished. That was a very exciting race. If you've not seen it on the telly, go and find it and watch it. Right, Harley 13th. Solid points on the board, that was excellent. Lennon, considering he was 34th at the end of the first lap, 21st, and actually lapped quick enough that we worked out he could have actually been 12th on lap time. So both the boys showed really good solid pace in that, so bit of a shame for Lennon that he had a bit of a mare first lap, but good recovery. Good one from Harley as well.
Yeah, no, happy with Harley. That's a great result for the end of the year.
Yeah, happy with that. Yeah. That is finally the end of what feels like a very long weekend, but it was a positive finish. Harley back in the points, Lennon the best we've seen him ride this year by far. Ash, yeah, the race didn't go to plan at all, but at least he showed his potential putting it on the front row. So we are definitely taking the positives from this weekend, and we are looking forward to the last round in a couple of weeks at Brands Hatch. So thank you for watching, and join us again soon for some more motorbike fun.